Ever dream of escaping a bad marriage, like really bad?
Oh, yeah.
Well, today's deep dive takes us back to the 1600s,
Okay.
where fleeing a toxic relationship could land you in a convent.
Wow.
We're uncovering the life of Hortense Mancini, Duchess Mazarin, a woman whose reality puts any modern-day soap opera to shame.
What's really captivating about Hortense's story is how it mirrors our own fascination with celebrity and scandal even centuries later, but it also offers a glimpse into a world where women were often pawns in a dangerous game of power.
Right.
Their destinies dictated by men.
Our source for this wild ride is the Noble Blood podcast episode, dedicated to Hortense. Get ready for a tale of forbidden romance, a truly horrifying marriage, and a daring escape that would make even the most seasoned adventurer blush.
Hortense was one of 7 sisters.
Wow.
The infamous Mazarinettes brought to the French court by their ambitious uncle, Cardinal Mazarin. He envisioned these beautiful young women as tools to solidify his power, strategically marrying them into influential families.
Imagine being a teenager, plucked from your home in Italy,
Oh, yeah.
and thrust into the dazzling yet cutthroat world of the French court.
Oh, wow.
And not just any court.
Right.
This is the reign of Louis XIV,
Right.
the Sun King himself, known for his extravagance and absolute power.
It's a setting ripe with intrigue.
Yeah.
The Mancini sisters, known for their beauty and charm, were paraded before the elite, their every move scrutinized.
Right.
It was a performance,
Wow.
a constant jockeying for position and favor.
And one of them
Yeah.
almost became Queen of France. Hortense's older sister Marie
Yes.
captured the heart of the young Louis XIV.
Uh-huh.
It was a true love story,
Right.
but sadly,
Yeah.
one destined for heartbreak.
Louis, as king, was expected to marry for political gain, not love. His advisors, including Cardinal Mazarin, saw Marie as a threat to their carefully crafted plans.
Right.
She was banished from court
Wow.
and forced into a loveless marriage.
Yay.
A stark reminder of the limits placed on women,
Yeah.
even those who had captured the heart of a king.
This experience had a profound impact on young Hortense.
Right.
She witnessed firsthand how quickly love and happiness
Yeah.
could be sacrificed at the altar of political ambition.
Yeah.
It's no wonder she developed a fierce independent streak, a determination to control her own fate,
Uh-huh.
even if it meant defying social norms.
And defy them. She
Yeah.
did. But before we get to her dramatic escape,
Right.
we need to unpack the marriage that made her flee.
It's a marriage straight out of a Gothic novel, complete with a controlling, eccentric, and downright terrifying husband.
Cardinal Mazarin, nearing the end of his life, sought a husband for Hortense,
Okay.
who could inherit his vast wealth and titles.
Right.
Enter Armand Charles de Laporte, the Duke of Mazarin,
Okay.
a man twice her age,
This.
with a penchant for the bizarre.
Let's just say this guy had some interesting hobbies. He was obsessed with destroying art,
Really?
believing any depiction of the nude form to be immoral.
Oh, my.
Imagine owning a priceless collection of Renaissance masterpieces,
Wow.
only to have your husband take a knife to them,
It was.
defacing every nude figure.
This wasn't merely eccentricity.
Right.
It reflected deeper anxieties of the time.
Okay.
Armand's obsession with controlling female beauty extended beyond art. He had all his female servants'
Wow.
front teeth knocked out,
Oh my goodness.
believing it would make them less attractive to men.
His jealousy was all-consuming.
Oh, wow.
He would burst into Hortense's rooms in the middle of the night, convinced she was having affairs,
Wow.
subjecting her to constant suspicion and humiliation.
Oh, my.
He forced her to travel with him to remote parts of France,
Uh-huh.
even when heavily pregnant, just to keep her isolated and under his thumb.
It's chilling to think about.
Yeah.
Hortense's story lays bare the vulnerability of women in that era, essentially viewed as property,
Right.
with no legal recourse against abusive husbands.
Imagine living in that kind of suffocating environment.
Oh, yeah.
Your every move controlled, your spirit slowly crushed.
It's no wonder she felt she had to escape.
Yeah.
And what she did next was truly audacious
Yeah.
for a woman in the 17th century.
Picture this. Hortense, disguised as a man,
Oh, wow.
flees her gilded cage
Uh-huh.
with the help of her brother,
Okay.
leaving behind her children and a life of unimaginable luxury.
Oh, my.
She embarks on a perilous journey to Rome,
goodness.
seeking refuge with her sister Marie.
It was a scandal that rocked Europe.
Wow.
The talk of every royal court.
Yeah.
A woman fleeing her husband.
Right.
Unthinkable.
Especially a woman of her status.
Exactly.
But Hortense wasn't content to let others tell her story. She was determined to reclaim her narrative. To speak her truth.
And that's when she did something truly groundbreaking for her time.
Yeah.
She wrote her memoirs. Think about this, in an era when women were expected to be silent and obedient.
Right.
Hortense dared to publish her own account of her life.
Wow.
Under her own name, no less.
It was a literary bombshell.
It was.
Her memoir became an instant bestseller,
Right.
translated into multiple languages, giving her a platform to challenge the very societal structures that had tried to silence her.
Her writing reveals not just a rebellious spirit,
Right.
but also a keen intellect.
Yeah.
She dissected the hypocrisy of the French court, exposing the manipulative power plays that dictated people's lives.
But while she was finding her voice as a writer in Rome, her escape had come at a cost.
Right.
Her estranged husband, Armand, wasn't about to let her go so easily.
He used his considerable wealth and influence to try and control her from afar.
Wow.
He froze her assets, including the pension Louis XIV had granted her, leaving her in a precarious financial situation.
So she's this celebrated author, a woman who'd escaped a nightmare marriage, and suddenly she's struggling to make ends meet.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It highlights the precarious nature of fame and fortune, even for someone as well-connected as Hortense. But she was resourceful. And a rather cunning English ambassador presented her with a controversial opportunity.
Okay, this is where the story takes a turn into even more scandalous territory. Enter Ralph Montague. The English ambassador to France. A man looking to curry favor with King Charles II. Who was, let's just say, known for his appreciation of beautiful women.
Montague, seeing Hortense's notoriety, an undeniable allure, hatched a plan. He suggested she travel to England and become the king's mistress.
It's almost unbelievable, isn't it?
I know.
This ambassador essentially brokered a deal for Hortense to become a royal mistress.
It's a stark reminder of how women, even those of high status, were often viewed as commodities. Their value tied to their beauty and their ability to please powerful men.
But for Hortense, this arrangement wasn't simply about survival. Remember, this was the same king who had been captivated by her beauty when she was just a teenager at the French court.
Exactly.
Perhaps there was a flicker of genuine attraction there.
Maybe.
Or maybe she saw it as a chance to finally gain the power and autonomy that had been denied to her for so long.
Her motivations are complex, and her memoir offers fascinating insights into her thoughts and feelings. It's not a simple tale of victimhood. Hortense was a woman who understood how to navigate the treacherous waters of courtly life.
So she set sail for England. Disguised, of course, under the pretense of visiting her niece, who was conveniently married to the king's brother.
Oh, wow.
A clever cover story.
Very clever.
And as you might expect, King Charles II, known for his charm and his weakness for beautiful women, was immediately smitten. Hortense quickly became part of his inner circle of mistresses. A group that included some pretty formidable women.
We're talking about Louise de Carroll, the Duchess of Portsmouth, who was the king's favorite at the time. And Nell Gwynn, the famous actress.
Can you imagine the drama unfolding within those palace walls?
It must have been a whirlwind of rivalry, ambition, and intrigue. Each woman vying for the king's favor. Navigating a delicate balance of power and influence.
And remember, Hortense wasn't exactly known for her fidelity. She was a woman who lived life on her own terms, and her romantic entanglements, even within the king's court, caused quite a stir.
One of her most notable relationships was with Anne Leonard, the Countess of Sussex, who was, interestingly enough, the illegitimate daughter of King Charles II.
Oh, wow.
And one of his other mistresses.
It's a tangled web of relationships.
It is.
A reminder that the personal and the political were often intertwined in this world.
But beyond the scandalous headlines, Hortense was cultivating something far more influential. Her salon.
This is where her story takes on a new dimension, revealing her as more than just a royal mistress.
Her salon became a hub of intellectual and cultural exchange, a gathering place for some of the most brilliant minds in England.
Wow.
Think scientists, philosophers, writers, artists, all engaged in lively debate and discussion.
Hortense, with her wit charm and undeniable intellect, presided over these gatherings, fostering an environment of creativity and free thinking.
She was a patron of the arts, a champion of new ideas.
And of course, no gathering at Hortense's salon would be complete without champagne. She's actually credited with popularizing this bubbly beverage in English society.
Really?
Imagine being known for introducing champagne to a nation.
It speaks to her ability to shape tastes and trends. Her influence extending beyond the realm of courtly gossip. She helped popularize scientific thought, introduce new fashions, and fostered a culture of intellectual curiosity.
But while she was thriving in English society, her past continued to haunt her.
Her legal battles with Armand, her estranged husband, dragged on a constant reminder of the limitations placed on women, even those who had seemingly escaped their circumstances.
Armand's relentless pursuit of control, even from across the English Channel, serves as a stark reminder of the power dynamics at play. He filed lawsuits demanding her return. Even threatening to have her confined to a convent if she refused. A convent.
I know.
After escaping a suffocating marriage and building a vibrant life in England. It seems unimaginable, doesn't it?
It highlights the precariousness of her situation. She was constantly walking a tightrope, defying societal expectations, but always at risk of being pulled back into a life she so desperately wanted to escape.
And just when it seemed she'd carved out a space for herself in English society, a major political upheaval threatened to unravel everything she had built.
This event, known as the Glorious Revolution, would have a profound impact on Hortense's life, ultimately leading to a tragic downfall.
So we left off with Hortense at the height of her influence in England, but with her estranged husband still looming in the background. Then the political landscape shifts dramatically with the Glorious Revolution. Just to clarify for our listeners, this was when King James II Catholic was overthrown and replaced by his Protestant daughter Mary and her husband William of Orange.
This change in power had significant consequences for Hortense. King James II had been sympathetic to her plight, continuing to provide her with a pension, albeit a reduced one after she fled France. But William and Mary, wary of any connection to the deposed king, were less inclined to support a former royal mistress.
Essentially overnight, she lost her patron and a crucial source of income. What a blow. It's like having the rug pulled out from under you just when you think you've found stable ground.
Precisely. This left Hortense in a very vulnerable position. And as you can imagine, Armand, her relentless husband, saw this as an opportunity to reassert his control. He filed a lawsuit in France claiming Hortense had no right to her dowry and demanding her return, or else she would face confinement to a convent.
A convent. It seems almost unthinkable after the life she'd led, escaping an abusive marriage, becoming a celebrated author, and captivating English society.
It really underscores how limited a woman's options were in that era. Despite her fame and accomplishments, Hortense was still subject to the whims of her husband and the patriarchal legal system. Her freedom, her very life, could be dictated by men.
But Hortense, ever resourceful, found a loophole in the system. She had accumulated some debts in England, and English law prohibited her from leaving the country until they were settled.
It was a clever legal maneuver. By remaining in debt, she essentially checkmated Armand. He refused to acknowledge or pay her debts, believing she had no right to incur them without his consent.
So she was trapped in a strange limbo, unable to return to France, but also unable to fully break free from her husband's control. What a frustrating and agonizing situation.
Indeed. Sadly, the story takes a tragic turn from here. Facing dwindling support and with her legal options exhausted, Hortense died in 1699 at the young age of 53.
53. That's heartbreaking. What were the circumstances surrounding her death?
The historical record is a bit murky. Some sources suggest she succumbed to despair, perhaps even drinking herself to death. However, many historians believe her death was likely a suicide.
It's a devastating end to a life that was so vibrant, so defiant, so full of passion and intrigue. It's as if the fire that had sustained her, that had fueled her fight for freedom and autonomy was finally extinguished.
Hortense Mancini's story is a potent blend of triumph and tragedy. She was a woman ahead of her time, challenging societal norms, embracing intellectual pursuits, and refusing to be defined by the expectations placed upon her as a woman in the 17th century.
She loved fiercely. She wrote boldly. She escaped a brutal marriage. She captivated a king. She even introduced champagne to England. What a legacy.
Despite the constraints and injustices she faced, Hortense left an undeniable mark on the world. She proved that women could be intelligent, witty, ambitious, and independent even in a society that attempted to confine them to the roles of wife and mother.
Her story is a reminder that the fight for equality and autonomy is a long and arduous one. But women throughout history have found ways to defy expectations and make their voices heard.
And it reminds us that we can learn from these historical figures, drawing inspiration from their resilience and courage as we continue to challenge societal norms and fight for a more just and equitable world.
So what do you think? Was Hortense Mancini a victim of circumstance, a cunning manipulator, or simply a woman trying to forge her own path in a world that offered her very few options?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your insights on our social media platforms, and be sure to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more captivating explorations of history, culture, and the remarkable individuals who have shaped our world. Until next time, keep diving deep.